What's up, everybody? It's your girl Barbie J here with a recap and review of Tyler Perry's new drama, Divorced Sisters, Season 1, Episode 3, Hushed Tones. And the synopsis for this episode reads, Javon attempts to make Geneva jealous after making a wild declaration to her. This is true. Bridget feels uncomfortable introducing Vaughn, and she have a good reason to. And Naomi receives a visit that upends her life, and she lost it behind that, y'all. So before we get started with this recap and review, if you're new here, if you're returning here and have not subscribed to this channel as of yet, please take a moment right now and hit that subscribe button. Then hit the notification bell and select all. It'll let you know every time I upload any new content to this channel. Then I ask that you smash that like button, which is the thumbs up button, write a comment and join the conversation, and share the video because why? Sharing is caring, and because you want to help a sister's channel grow. So anyway, this first scene with Javon and Geneva is crazy. I mean, Javon, you come back 6 years later. I'm sorry, 5 years and 11 months, but who's counting? And you assume that the baby is yours because she has the name that you and Geneva discussed. Y'all would name your daughter if you had one. And Geneva, you messy for naming her that. You knew at some point he would come back around and find out. But how did he think she's supposed to drop everything now that he finally got divorced? Now she's supposed to finally get divorced and they'll live happily ever after? She said things have changed. But why y'all having this discussion in the house when the husband is right upstairs? William's right upstairs. He can hear everything. And then when they go through this whole process and he said, y'all ready to go? Homeboy goes over there to William, and Geneva's just standing there staring at the wall. Wouldn't that have given somebody an alarm like, babe, why are you standing there just staring at the wall like that? You know, I just thought that scene was weird. But that's good old Tyler Perry. Anywho, now we have this scene in the car with Geneva and Jefferson. And Jefferson is a piece of work. I mean, he is a terrible husband and a poor example of a pastor. This woman is begging you to have sex with her. She got to be thinking he cheating on her or something. I don't know. Wouldn't it be in your mind, some of you people out there? And then, like she said, here we are communicating, and he's calling it nagging. He avoids all her questions. He does turn everything on her when she's asking him about something. He turns it back on her. And of course, I love you. You know, I love you. You know, I was just like, what is going on? How do you call communication nagging when she wouldn't even have to do it if you would be present as she's asking him? She's telling him how she feels. Now, if she didn't, then he was saying, why all of a sudden you saying something? You never said nothing before. See, but she's trying to voice it and speak in a Christian way, in a loving way. And he's, what are you on menopause? And what is this? What is that? Why are you acting like this? Why are you, I'm just like, I cannot believe it. And she's like, I know you. You're treating me like you do your people in the church. I tell you I love you every Sunday. Hello, y'all. How many of y'all have a husband, boyfriend, or significant other that tells you they love them once a week, you know, in front of the church to put on a front for everybody? You know, it's just, it's too much. And I'm telling you, Latoya Luckett is playing the heck out of that first lady role. Somebody told me she is really playing the heck out of that role. I'm loving her in it. And Jefferson, he is playing his role too because he terrible. He is the worst example of how a pastor should be treating his wife. And that's why she said the kids were right. Even though they got smart mouths and they're fresh and stuff, they are actually right about their parents' relationship. So now this next scene with Naomi at her house, and she's getting ready for the event, the church event, and her friends are there. Well, friends, stylists or whatever are there. And the police come with her ex-husband Franklin's attorney, and they're trying to confiscate stuff. And what they're saying is in the lawsuit that she was supposed to give back the items that belonged to the new Mr. and Mrs. Price. Well, she's the new Mrs. Price. And I'm sitting there going, that doesn't make any sense. Because I thought that when people give you a gift, it's a gift and you can't take it back. So the two cars that the Lambo and the Range Rover, those were gifts. The diamond earrings were gifts. The paintings, the jewelry, all of this stuff that's gifts. How do you get to take it back from somebody and give it to the new wife that he was cheating on her with? It makes no sense. But again, this is Tyler Perry land. So her friends are trying to tell her it's gonna be all right, it's gonna be fine. It's not. She get mad, throw the jewelry somewhere. He's like, that's okay, we got the metal detector. They're doing all of this stuff, and she gets so upset when the cops leave that she gets in her car and drives off. They don't know where she went. And I think the girl's name is Stuffy. She's the hairstylist friend. And she said, I'm gonna call Geneva. So she calls Geneva, who's in the car with her husband William, and Javon in the back seat feeling like a third wheel, which he is, and he knew he could have made up an excuse as to why not to go with them. So let's be real about that, because he's telling Geneva to let him know, if she don't want him to come or whatever. What am I going to tell William? She's like, I don't care. He could have made up any excuse. He know he was wrong for that. We all know it. And Geneva told him, this is not right what you're doing. How you going to come in this man's house and try to take his wife? Because y'all had an affair 6 years ago. It just, oh, Lord, Jesus, help me. Anyway, Geneva finally talks to Stuffy on the phone because she calls her back, and she tells Geneva what just happened, and Naomi drove off. They don't know where she is. And Javon's in the back like, is there anything I could do? She's like, no, I got it. You sure? I hate when people do that. She said I got it. And if y'all didn't notice, well, it's in an upcoming another episode. He's like still pushing himself on trying to help. Like Geneva doesn't know what she's doing, and meanwhile, William's in the car saying, oh, there's going to be so many single women there and all this stuff. And Geneva's getting mad. And and Javon is sitting there going, he got his eye on someone else. And he's like, oh, really? Oh, really? And then he's like, we need to hook him up with Tiffany. Tiffany's a good person, right? She's a good friend of Geneva's, and da-da-da-da. He's just rubbing it in. And that's why I keep feeling like William knows something. You know what I mean? Y'all put it down in the comment section if any of y'all think that William knows something. And I'm thinking Javon needs to be careful because he keeps looking over at her, at Geneva, calling her Gigi. I guess that's what he called her back then. But he could get caught by William looking up in the rearview mirror and seeing him looking at his wife. You know what I mean? He got to be careful with that too. So now we see Bridget. She's at the event and she's trying to get the seating plan together, and out of nowhere we see William is calling her to ask her to add an extra seat by Tiffany for a friend of his. And I'm like, well, is he in the car or have they arrived yet or something like that? But she says okay, she'll do it. But in the meantime, here's her boyfriend Vaughn in his waiter's uniform, calling it a tuxedo. He gets mistaken to being a worker there, and the man is trying to tell him he's going to fire him and stuff. And he's like, what are you talking about? And Bridget comes over there to try to calm everything down, and she tells the man that he doesn't work there. He's a guest. He said, oh, I'm sorry. And Vaughn is all upset. He's like, why did you do that and tell him that I'm a guest? She's like, what am I supposed to tell him? He's like, I'm your man. She said, ain't nobody's business what's going on between me and you. And she's like, boy, every time she turns around, boy this and boy that. I'm like, what is it that she sees in him? I can't wait to find out the backstory, how Bridget ended up with Vaughn. Because he don't have no job. It don't even seem like he have an education, because all he talking about is being a content creator. Like that's a great job that he has, which is what I'm doing. But he ain't making no money from it because he ain't doing nothing. He still got to get his creativity working, he said. But then Bridget needs to get a backbone or something, because she keeps apologizing to him. I'm sorry. First she mad at him and tell him what he's doing wrong, and then she goes, no, it's okay. It's not a problem or something. I'm just like, girl, stop. Stop it, please. Okay. Anyway, then we see all the ladies in the room. I guess it's a private room in the church. I'm assuming the event is happening at the church. Anywho, Geneva tells them it's something that's going on with Naomi. They call her and put her on speaker, and she's telling what's going on, and they're hoping that she's not going to come. And she says, "You know what? I'm not going to come." They're happy that she's not going to come, saying that they'll stop by later. You know what I mean? And check on her. And she's like, "Fine, they ruined my dress. They did this, they did that." She's drinking, getting drunk. And then she finally ends the call with them, and they are just so delighted that she's not coming. And then they want to know if Franklin's coming, and nobody knows as of yet. So now I got to mention this quick little scene they show us of Jefferson, the pastor. I'm gonna call him the pastor. The pastor's, what's that? He's supposed to be his security or right hand man or whatever, fixing his bow tie, making sure it looks good. I'm like, dude, isn't that what somebody's wife would do? You like, yeah, you look good. This. I said, why are you fixing his bow tie? That just, we got to pay attention to stuff like that because that just seems strange to me. Anyway, so the ladies come out, the introductions are made, and then William says, and this is Tiffany, and Javon is like, oh, and Geneva and Rashida kind of look at each other or whatever. So they sit down and take their seats. Then Bridget said it's time to get started. So the pastor and first lady get up there on the stage. The pastor say a quick speech. The first lady prays because she said her husband says she talked too much. So she said she'll just do this prayer. But did everybody peep how, as the first lady is saying the prayer, Geneva is watching Javon during the prayer? That just seems strange. If you don't want to have nothing to do with that man, why are you trying to look at him while a prayer is going? Center your mind on Jesus and keep it moving, sister. Anyway, she comes down from the podium, and Tiffany, you've been her friend for like, what, 20 years? You're like, I like the way you pray. And then Javon goes, I like the way you pray too. And I was like, that was so weird. And William's like, see, they got something in common already. I was like, did I just imagine something stupid right here? I don't know what happened. And then Tiffany and Javon started laughing, and Geneva's like, what's so funny? What you laughing at? What's so funny? And I was like, what is wrong with you? And Rashida looks at her like she crazy. And then the whole scene with Vaughn coming over to the table, talking about where we sitting? Why are we sitting all the way in the back? All this stuff. Oh, Lord, he made a scene. It was so embarrassing for Bridget. I don't even know how or why she's with him. I'm telling you, I need to know that backstory, how they got together. So they tell her that she's at their table, sit down. And he don't even pull a seat out for her. He about to sit next to the guy who he walked out on his job. He quit the first day, and Bridget's like, that's my seat. But anyway, he's like, hi, I'm Vaughn. I'm an alcoholic. I just kidding because there's no alcohol here. I said, oh, Lord. He said, well, I'm Bridget's old man. She my old lady. I'm her old man. She's like, old lady? Who he calling old lady? So then he said, hey, y'all two together? Looking at Javon and Tiffany. And you should have saw how quick Geneva was like, no, they ain't not together. And Rashida looked at her like, girl, what's wrong with you? So she says she has to go to the bathroom, and Rashida goes along with her. And that's when they get in there, and she finds out that Javon came to visit her at her job, that when she came downstairs that evening, he was at her house, and then that he thinks Anika is his daughter because they did have unprotected sex back then 6 years ago. And Rashida's face, she's like, what in the devil is going on here? And she's trying to get her to breathe, take deep breaths to calm her nerves and calm her down because she's upset now because William's trying to set him up with Tiffany. And she just don't even know what's going on. But we know what is going on. Javon is doing that to make her jealous. He ain't no good man. I wouldn't even want to be with him because he's not a good man. A good man would not have gone up in there and be in that man's house, William's house, trying to get his wife. I'm sorry, y'all. Y'all could be wrong if y'all feel I'm wrong, but I don't. You put it down in the comment section. So while Geneva and Rashida in the bathroom, and then Tiffany does come in there, we got Vaughn out there embarrassing Bridget even more than he could, asking people how much this stuff costs, how much your jacket, how much this. And we got William asking Javon, what's going on? I see you like her. She's into you. Don't you think so? Right, Reverend? Ask the pastor. Pastor tell you, didn't it look like they were into each other? Yeah, that's what it looked like to me. I mean, William just keep on and on. He played his part so well. I love his, was it Ronrico or something his name is? Ronrico Lee, whatever. That man, every scene or part that he plays in a TV show or movie, he just is so good at it. And I just like him. I think he's a wonderful actor. But honestly, in this show, he an annoying husband a bit. He a little bit annoying to me, especially this whole thing with trying to set somebody up. Stop it. Just stop already. And we got the pastor's security telling Bridget to get the guy out of there, Vaughn, because he was annoying and stuff. But he did tell the pastor that big money is coming. So that must have meant that Franklin was coming, you know. So Bridget takes Vaughn out of there and asks him to go home. He's a bit upset about it. And she's like, look, you see, I'm under all this stress. He said, and I'm making it worse. She said, well, you ain't making it better. And so he started pleading his case about not ever being around people like that and never having a good man to show him how to behave and all of this stuff. And she's like, okay, well, maybe I overreacted. I said, Bridget, you did not overreact. That fool is crazy. Acts like he's 12. And I don't know why. He must be great in bed, because I have no other idea in my mind why she with that man. And what is it that drew her into him that would even go as far as getting him into bed? Was he a stripper or something? I don't get it. So as he's leaving, who walks in the door but Franklin and his new 25-year-old white wife? You know what I mean? And Bridget's like, oh, like this night can't get any better. So she rushes over to that little bathroom or whatever to let Rashida and Geneva know. But before she gets there, we see that Tiffany is into Javon, and she's like, he's cute. Why you been holding out on me, Geneva, and not telling me about that fine man and all this stuff? And then she said, I'm officially ready to go back out there and date, because that's what they have been trying to get her to do all this time. And now she says she's ready, and she's ready to do it with Javon. Isn't that something? But they're not telling her what's going on. So she goes back to the table, and that's when Bridget gets in there to tell them that Franklin walked in. So they go back out there, and it's just messy, y'all, as you know. Because as Franklin and Lindsay go over to the table, and the pastor's like greeting her and everything, and oh, you look lovely and stuff. I said, I bet you he didn't even tell his wife she looked lovely. I bet you he didn't tell none of her friends that they look lovely. But he's being nice because homeboy got money. I guess Franklin has money. But she said, I didn't even want to come. And he's like, why not? She said, is the dragon lady here? And I'm sitting there going, why would you come into a church event and start saying things like that? You're the newbie on the block. All you got is Franklin by your side. You're not in the right space to be saying stuff about a sister, okay? Because when Tiffany heard it, Tiffany got up and stepped to her at the same time when Geneva and Rashida came over. And it's like, who you calling dragon lady? Who's that? And she's like, if you're talking about Naomi, she's not here. And she said, and you are? She said, one of her closest friends. That's Tiffany. And she shook her hand. And the husband is like, Franklin's like, don't pay them no mind or whatever. So they all sit down, and this fool, what's Franklin's, I can't remember his security guy or whatever his name, and he got a glass in his hand, sitting in the first lady's seat, Rashida's seat, about to drink her water. She looked at him, he put it down and jumped up. She said, did you drink my water? He's like, no, first lady, no, first lady. I said, homeboy getting too comfortable and stuff. He be disrespecting her, and I don't like him either. So anyway, Lindsay is sitting at the table throwing her hair back and stuff, and Tiffany makes the sign to the girls like, look at the earrings, and Franklin's like, you like what you see? And they said, oh yeah. And Lindsay's like, 10-carat yellow diamonds. And so Tiffany tells her, yes, I think they look better on a brown-skinned woman. And Lindsay said, pardon me? She said, color. Yes, color makes them pop. And they all kind of like smirking and stuff. And he's trying to tell her to ignore them or whatever. But let's be honest. She's just as young and dumb as Vaughn is. Because why would you want the jewelry, earrings that your husband gave as a gift to his first wife? I don't want nothing else his first wife had. I don't care what it is. You sell them, hock them, do whatever, and buy me my own pair. I don't want nothing that been in her ear. I don't care how much alcohol you soak it in, whatever. You know what I mean? I don't understand people like that. That's just greed or I don't know, ignorance. I don't know what it is. But why would you want the fur coat that some other woman had? First of all, it shouldn't even fit you if y'all not the same body frame. Why would you want something that was somebody else's, that she was sitting her butt in those cars and touching them? Just get me my own. But then as that's going on, here comes Bridget running over talking about, I think we have a situation. They're like, what's going on? And she kind of motions over to the door, and who's there but Naomi, drunk as a skunk. And they all seem to be panicked as she saunters over to that table, wobbly and everything, talking about, and I know y'all not here talking to her. And all the faces at the table are like, oh boy, here it goes. And so it went off like that. Y'all let me know what y'all thought about this episode. But honey, this show is getting juicy. You know it's about to go down on next week's episode. I can't wait to see it. So y'all put it down in the comment section what y'all thought about this episode. And I will see you all in the next video. Please do not forget to subscribe, like, comment, and share. It's your girl, Barbie J, saying peace.